Hi, welcome back. I wanted to do a little introductory video on the planets, astrology. Most people only know what their sun sign, they may know their moon sign or their rising sign in astrology, but I wanted to give my subscribers a little bit more information to use the energy of the zodiacs a little bit more efficiently. So first off, I just want to say that there are 12 zodiacs, and in the 12 zodiacs, most people again they may know their big three, which is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your ascendant or your rising sign. Some people may know the additional three, what planet what zodiac their Mercury is in, what their Venus might be in. You know, they may know the rest of their charts. But what I want to make sure to get across is that we as human beings have all 12 zodiacs within ourselves. So even though a zodiac or a planet is not in your chart, it does not mean that it does not have influence over you. Additionally, your chart does not necessarily define who you can become or what your limitations are. It is a roadmap, an efficient roadmap to navigate your life. And so once you have the information that is in astrology and in your chart, you can use that to become the best version of you possible. Your birth chart is by no means limiting. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that all 12 zodiacs are present and influential in your life, including all the planets are present and influential in your life. And the best way to be able to navigate these energies is to have information. We are currently in retrograde season, and I've started a series of videos basically helping my subscribers to utilize the times of this retrograde to really transform their life in the best way possible. So we have Mercury going retrograde on May 29th till June 23rd. We have Saturn on May 23rd till October 11th in Capricorn. We have Jupiter on June 20th. We have Venus on the December 19th, and we have Pluto on April 27th, which means that Pluto has already gone into retrograde. Saturn has already gone into retrograde. Mercury is going into retrograde soon. So let's just start with the basics. So the planets basically all orbit the sun at differing speeds. So the moon takes about 28 days to cycle through. Mercury takes about 88 days. So it tends to go into retrograde every 3 or 4 months, thereabouts. Pluto circles around every 248 years, and Saturn 29.5 years. So you may actually hear people talk about things like their Saturn return when they're turning 30, and how much of an influence Saturn is on that particular year of their life. So the faster planets that move through, so we're looking at Mercury, Venus, and Mars. They orbit through faster than the others. They're referred to as inner planets, and they're referred to as inner planets because they have influence on the inner you. They are considered to be personal planets. The larger ones that take a little bit longer, those are Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They are considered to be the outer planets, and they influence while still affecting you because you're a part of society, it is felt by an entire generation. So this is something that you will have in common. The influence of these planets you will have in common with everybody that is born within your generation. So in the terms of Pluto, that we're talking about 8 generations. That would have been 1970. That would have been 1773, 248 years ago. So, knowing that, and these planets are moving through at differing speeds, what happens is that because the planets are moving at different speeds, all the planets are actually moving forward. They're all direct. And these are 3 terms that you will hear in astrology. You'll hear about planets going direct, planets being stationary, and planets in retrograde. The most common one is retrograde because everybody sort of panics during retrograde seasons. So all planets are essentially moving forward. They are moving direct. But because they are all moving at different speeds, what tends to happen is that a planet may appear to be not moving at all or moving backward. So even though it is moving direct, its relative motion, meaning the appearance of movement, may not be moving direct. So it may appear to be stationary, or it may appear to be in retrograde. When a planet is in retrograde, it appears to be moving backward. And so therefore, the influence on that planet turns inward. I just want to say that the fundamental essence of a planet does not change whether or not it is direct, stationary, or retrograde. It is merely the expression of the energy, the expression of the influence is different. So when a planet is in retrograde and the energy is turned inward, we turn inward with that influence. When a planet is stationary, that means that it is basically in the gap between where it appears to be moving backward and starts to move again. It is in that pause just before it moves forward again is called when it's stationary. That is an extremely powerful time for any planetary influence because it is the most concentrated time. It is, and you would hear me talk about in my readings before, we talk about the power of the pause, the power where all of that energy, all of that influence is stored and concentrated. It is just before. Additionally, it is the most powerful time for planetary influence. A retrograde does not have more influence over an individual than a direct moving planet does. A planet that is in direct has more influence over a person, an individual, a generation, a society, than a retrograde. Always. A planet that is stationary has more influence than a planet that is direct because all of that energy is concentrated. So why is all this panic that is around when planets go retrograde? Well, because the energy is turned inward. And if we are unconscious of this restriction in our expression of our Saturn selves, our Mercury selves, our Venus selves, our Pluto selves, if we are unconscious of this suppression where tension builds up, things unconsciously happen. Things unconsciously occur. And so that is why during the retrograde times, it is important to be mindful and to be conscious of our planetary selves and how this time is going to influence us, and to utilize the energy of this time to improve, develop, and make the best version of life for ourselves. So, what's next? Luminaries. Luminaries, celestials, the moon and the sun. They have great influence over us. The moon, she is our emotions. It is the mother. It represents the emotional self, the intuition. And the sun is our ego. They have great influence over how we interact with ourselves, our bodies, and the people and society around us. There are different types of astrology that dedicate solely towards the sun and the moon. The moon has lunar astrology, and it is basically where is the zodiac during the 8 phases of the moon. I'm going to be starting a series dedicated to the 2 main phases, the full moon and the new moon, and how using the energy of the full moon and the new moon can assist us with journeying in life. The full moon is a time of completion. It is a time to release, surrender, let go. It is the end of a cycle. The new moon is about beginnings. It is about starting things new. It is the hidden moon, the dark moon, and both of these times, full and new moon, are great times to set intentions, things that you would like to release and things that you would like to invite in. With regards to sun astrology, you can look at Dreamscape, which is the Mayan calendar, and that should be able to tell you quite a lot about sun astrology.